world, Wingman here. Today I wanted to do a tutorial of sorts, specifically on how to analyze a song. Everyone looks at songs differently, but I think there's some basic questions everyone should ask themselves before completing an analysis. You might currently be thinking to yourself, Wingman, why do an analysis in the first place? Well, I feel that it's important to get a sense of what a song means, since I was taught that what you listen to can have an influence on your moods, thoughts, actions, and even your very being. That may be pretty intense for some of you, and I might have accidentally caused a few existential crises just then, and I'm very sorry if you were one of those people. I've also had to analyze films for many of my college courses. I know. Wingman, you were just talking about music, why switch to films? Calm your batucas. While film is a very different form of media than music, I found that you go through similar experiences while taking in each. Film uses both sight and sound, most of the time, to tell a story, while music only uses sound to create an experience. Music also influences the mood of a lot of films, so music is something I've had to learn how to analyze as well as films over my college career. I also enjoy analyzing songs because I'm a nerd who tries to find meaning in every form of media I experience. This video will be divided into 3 parts, the first being how to analyze a song's lyrics and doing some critical thinking on them. Second, I'm going to overanalyze a newer tune for you as an example and to get the ball rolling, so to speak. I'll be using Glass Animal's newest track, I Don't Wanna Talk, I Just Wanna Dance, that released last Friday, which is perfect timing. For the third and final part, I'm going to be doing a brief review on the song since it recently came out, and being a fan of GA's earlier works, I cannot help myself. So, how does one analyze a song? Well, first, you need to know what the lyrics are if there are any. For the purposes of this video, it's gonna have to have lyrics. A simple Google search should do the trick. I recommend websites like A to Z Lyrics because most of the time, music videos on YouTube won't have the lyrics listed. For some reason, though you'd think it'd be helpful since it's usually from the artists themselves, which would be an official source. I would recommend double checking the lyrics on the sites for what you can hear for yourself, since they're not always 100% accurate. Also, definitely check to make sure it's the correct song, since many songs share the same or very similar titles. Sometimes, if a song is older or very well known and popular, Google itself will have the lyrics front and center for you. Assuming you're using Google and not Bing. Once you have the lyrics pulled up and basically ingrained into your brain, simply think about them. I'll give you some questions to think about if you're having trouble getting started. What sort of thoughts or images come to your head during certain lines? Where was the artist coming from when they wrote the song? Try seeing if you can find sources that accurately explain the artist's history. Next, what do particular words mean in the context? Meaning, while words have their definition in the dictionary, they can have various implications depending on the time period. For example, sick by definition means feeling unwell. However, by saying, that's sick, in today's culture you can mean, that's cool, or that's amazing. Finally, when was the piece written? One of the most important points for analyzing a song, or really any form of media, is looking at the time period of which it was written. That way, you'll gather further context on some of the wording if it seems a little strange by today's standards. Now, what a song will mean to one person will be different from what it means to someone else, since unless the artist has stated what the song means to them, it can be up to interpretation. I would also listen to the melody as well while thinking about the lyrics, because the tune may influence you to hear them differently. If you want, you can also look at discussion posts all over the internet that talk about songs to compare and contrast your thoughts with other folks' interpretations. I would recommend doing this last, or really never, since their thoughts might override your own and can completely change how you see the track. However, this might be a good idea after you have a clear sense of what the song means to you. Well, that's all there really is to it, but because this is such a short tutorial that has to do with critical thinking skills, I'm going to use my example of I Don't Wanna Talk, I Just Wanna Dance by Glass Animals to help you get started. Also, this will be an over-analyzation of I Don't Wanna Talk, simply because I want you to be able to understand how this can work. Not every song has to be so complicated in meaning though, and I don't think this specific song was meant to be. But analyzation of songs is fun for me, and it's new, which is what the internet likes, so here we go! I began by looking up the lyrics on A to Z Lyrics. After briefly looking at said lyrics, I noticed that, to me, the song seems to be about the narrator trying to forget about someone. Probably someone who wasn't all that healthy to be with. The intro of this snazzy, upbeat tune clearly states that the narrator doesn't want to talk, and they simply want to dance. No more living in the past, baby, means that they want to move on from whatever happened previously. The fourth line in the chorus, and I'm not gonna stop till I forget what we had, reinforces that the speaker doesn't want to remember what happened. Now let's look at the first line and the first verse. We kissed in the morning on a summer day. Kissing is something that's intimate and usually shared between two parties who at the very least like each other in some form. Given that the next line states, you taste, this would imply that the relationship shared by the two parties in the song was probably romantic and or sexual in nature. In the morning is normally, at least in film, a time to show new beginnings. On a summer day also gives the implication that it's a fun and explorative time in the narrator's life, since spring is technically for new life. So, just by looking at this first line, we know that the relationship being described was rather new and both parties are at a young, explorative time in their lives. Perhaps this is the narrator's first relationship. You taste like cigarettes and hurricanes is the next line. Wow, what an interesting combo. Well, cigarettes in today's films are almost non-existent, but if shown, they're usually depicted being smoked by the villain. They are also very bad for you, and even for the people around the smoker. Hurricanes are a huge natural disaster, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake, so we can safely assume that this person the narrator is kissing is probably not a healthy choice for them. Given the next two lines are, there's a warning written in the corners of your face, whiplash, and you left me in a vapor trail, we can further confirm this to be true to some extent. Whiplash is something experienced when you turn your head too quickly, and combined with vapor trails, this can mean that the person the speaker is describing is either moving too fast for them or the mystery person cannot make up their mind. Now I know it's safe to say nothing's perfect anyway. Is probably the narrator realizing that the relationship is not good or perfect like they once thought. Real relationships are not always sunshine and rainbows, after all. Okay, now the first line of the pre-chorus can be two different lines. I looked at different sources other than A to Z lyrics and they were not the same. The pre-chorus for I Don't Want to Talk, listed on the site called Genius, states, you fell in love but you don't know how. The confusion the mystery person faces as they fell in love with the narrator may be the reason why the relationship didn't go so well. On A to Z lyrics, it says that the first line in the pre-chorus is, you'd fall in love but you don't know how, which implicates the mystery person, yes, that's their name for the rest of this analysis, isn't mature enough to understand what love is, which can make the relationship more difficult if it progresses. Personally, it sounds to me like Genius was correct with the wording. The next line is luckily the same for both sites. We were good once, but I effed up now. Yes, I'm not going to cuss in this one. Shows the mystery person is not the only one who contributed to the unhealthiness. Somehow the speaker messed up. We don't know how, though. Next, building a house and burning it down in the context of the song could mean that the narrator tried their best to build up the relationship, but because of either the confusing emotions the mystery person faced or the unhealthiness of the mystery person, it was burnt down or ruined. Skipping the chorus, since we already covered it, we move on to the second verse. Just a minute now, there's something different now. Is the narrator realizing that something's off? They might be feeling overwhelmed, especially since the next line states, all your moaning sounds, how's it all so loud? Though it's either moaning or mourning. Some sites say different words. With moaning, that's normally a, well, rather spicy sound, and given the context of kissing mentioned earlier, this could be what the narrator is referencing. However, moaning is also done when someone is in extreme pain. The mystery person could be in pain if they don't know how or can't fall in love with the narrator. This would be an emotional pain though, not physical. If the wording is not moaning but instead mourning, they did kiss in the morning like the song mentioned earlier, though that would probably make less sense given the context. Either way, like I stated before, the narrator is probably feeling overwhelmed by the mystery person, and the mystery person might be in pain due to not knowing what's going on. Put the flowers down can mean two things in this context. Firstly, flowers are usually what someone gives to another person, either as a gift or to ask for forgiveness. The mystery person may be trying to persuade the narrator to stay with them, or might be asking for forgiveness for what they've done. Whatever that might be. This line could also implicate a death, since putting flowers down on a grave is common practice. This might be a bit of a stretch, but in the framework of the song, it could mean the death of the relationship too. The second half of the line is, 'cause they look like clowns. Clowns are silly, so the flowers look silly to the narrator at this point since the relationship is over. Since about, I think it was 2016 though, clowns have been seen as scary to most folks, so the flowers could actually be scaring the narrator further away from the relationship. Again, that might be a bit of a stretch, but you get what I mean. Finally, leave me to it then and let your hair grow out. The narrator is asking the person to leave them alone, or the speaker simply left the situation altogether to leave the mystery person up to their own devices. The pre-chorus and the chorus then repeat, finishing the song. To compare the lyrics with the melody almost masks what the song is really about. It's a happy dance in the night away tune, while the lyrics are actually pretty angsty. Now, again, this was simply my interpretation of the lyrics of the song. You might have come up with something different, and that's completely fine. Art, no matter its form, can be interpreted differently. I'd love to hear what you thought of I Don't Wanna Talk in the comments below if you were also going through this thought exercise with me. Breaking news! It appears that Glass Animal singer Dave Bailey sent an email to his fans. Literally right after I finished writing this script, which explains what he wrote the song about. To compare what I wrote versus what he wrote, the email states, quote, "A bit about I don't want to talk. Talking is great, don't get me wrong, but this pandemic has made so many of us look inwards in a way we maybe haven't before. The uncertainty in the world and the inability to go out and create new memories makes you dig deep into the past. It really fed people's deepest insecurities and rotted our foundations in so many ways. Relationships changed, friendships altered, and self-confidence was warped. I spent a lot of time talking to my dog, but even more time talking to myself in my head, which was keeping me up all night, and my friends and family were doing the same. It felt like we were all put in a pressure cooker, but there was no way to let out the steam. That's what this track is about. That pressure cooker exposing and expanding so many cracks, but struggling to fill them in and decompress. I want people to switch their devices off, put this song on, close their eyes, and have that release for a moment. To compare, it's not about forgetting one specific relationship like I had previously thought, but it's simply about not wanting to talk about everything going on in the world and just wanting to dance and forget about it. And now, the moment you might have been waiting for. My thoughts on the song as a whole, aka the review. Well, I think I Don't Wanna Talk is a simple song to jam to. That's not a bad thing though. Some songs are simply simple songs to jam to. The instrumentals sound really nice, but reminded me of the beginning tune of Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. Just me? Alrighty then. Also, the lyrics weren't the most creative or inspired I've seen the band make in the past. Although, I'll be honest, most of the Dreamland era songs don't have the most creative song lyrics I've seen. The song itself is supposed to be a bonus level to Dreamland, so comparing it to the band's past works like Zaba and How to Be a Human Being might be a little unfair. I think this is especially the case since all three albums are different genres. Zaba is psychedelic indie pop, How to Be a Human Being is alternative indie, and Dreamland is pop. Compared to the other songs of Dreamland though, I think this was better than a lot of the songs on the album, specifically because the tune stands out amongst most of them. A lot of the songs feel similar in the album, and it's not merely because they're part of the same album. It might be that they tackle very similar topics, like unhealthy relationships or those relationships ending, and they kind of repeat themselves because of that. The specific ones I'm thinking of are Tangerine, Hot Sugar, Melon the Coconut, Your Love, Deja Vu, Heat Waves, and Helium. That's half the album. Yet, like I stated earlier, relationships and life in general is not always sunshine and rainbows. This album is about personal moments in Bailey's life. Did he do a good job of interpreting those life moments to his audience while making good tunes? For some of the songs, yes, most definitely. I'm not quite sure if I Don't Wanna Talk is one of them though, at least lyrically. I didn't really get the feeling that this song was about the current pandemic, and that instead it was just another pop song about a breakup. Anyways, I was hoping for some lyrics that talked about a healthy relationship, or the good parts of staying stuck inside during this pandemic. Or even better, maybe Bailey dancing with his dog, who cannot speak any human languages, so all they can do is dance like bees to communicate. That would most certainly be interesting. Standing alone, the song is okay. Not my favorite Glass Animal song, but has just enough of the crazy funkiness that Glass Animal songs usually hold to be fun to jam to. And, again, since it's supposed to be a song you dance your heart out to, I Don't Wanna Talk, I Just Wanna Dance fits the bill just fine. But that's it. It's not groundbreaking or anything. Not that I was expecting it to be, but, you know. Well, that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'm gonna be a stereotypical YouTuber for a second, kindly ask you to smash that like button and hit the subscribe button for more content! But in all seriousness, Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope this helped you in some fashion with analyzing songs. Or maybe you only learned how much of a nerd I am for analyzing things. But regardless, I hope to make more videos like this one in the future. So, that's all for today's video. See you next week. Maybe. Maybe not. But that's my outro, and I'm sticking with it, darn it. See ya. If you want, you can also look at discussion posts all over the internet that talk about songs to compare and contrast your thoughts with other folks' interpretations. Goodness gracious, I ran out of breath for that. Now I know it's safe to say nothing's perfect anyway. Now I know it's safe to say nothing's perfect anyway. Especially since the next line states, "Oh, your moaning sounds, how's it all so loud?" I'm sorry, can you tell I'm trying to sound like a dude?